Hi guys! So this weekend is going to be an outdoorsy one for me since after a week of very high heat, temperatures have finally dropped low enough again that it is actually fun to be outside again. Unfortunately, I can't go swimming this weekend because my bike has a flat tire that is being changed at the moment. But I was going to go hiking this weekend anyway. I'm going to go to Kufstein, which is in Austria actually, and there's a mountain range there, or a group of summits on a larger mountain called Wilder Kaiser, the Wild Emperor, which looks very forbidding from the outside. It's very jagged, very barren looking, very wild. However, on the inside, it is really idyllic, really green, and really gentle on the lower slopes. The whole region is just so beautiful, the valleys as well. I've only just started exploring it and I'm so excited to be going back there this weekend. However, in spite of that, I'm also in the mood for a big reading weekend again, and it is Cosy Reading Night on Saturday, so that's a given. And so I thought it would be a nice one to vlog. My exact TBR for this weekend has yet to be decided. I'm definitely, however, going to be reading at least one chapter in The Stranger by Albert Camus. This is my book that I'm reading on the bus to and from work because the format is so nicely small and it's also really short. So you get the feeling that you are making real progress even on short 20-minute bus rides. I have to say I'm really underwhelmed by this one, which is a theme this year for the classic books, modern classic and earlier 19th century classics that I'm reading this year. I hope it gets better in the second half of the year, but the first half just goes out the way that it started. I haven't yet decided what I'm going to read for my big book for the weekend and going into next week. I'm torn between two books. One is one that I feel like I've talked a lot about in the last couple of videos. It's Somerset Castle Auburn by Sharon Shinn. This is a fantasy novel about a young woman who is looking back on, or when she looks back on the summers that she spent at Castle Auburn during her childhood and her teenage years, she realizes that there was something sinister going on there. Another possible read that would fit the season very well, I feel, is In the Heart of Hidden Things by Kate Whitfield. This is a story about the Fae and I think other connected British folk tales. I'm not sure if folk horror is the right word for it, but there definitely seems to be an uncanny element to it, naturally, as we are talking about the Fae. And what could be a more perfect season to read about the Fae and fairies than Midsummer? I'll keep you posted about which one I'm choosing, and I'll also show you my Cozy Reading Night setup in a minute. And for late at night, when I need something simple and easy to wind down for sleep, I'm going to read, also on my Kindle, Red Dirt Heart Volume 3. The third book in the Red Dirt Heart series, which I talked about in my last recommendation video. It's a romance story set on an Australian cattle station, which has become one of my favorite settings ever. Hey there, it's Sunday night. I'm back from my hiking trip. I've showered, I've washed my hair, and I almost feel like a human being again. It was a very long, very hot, very sunny day, very little shade during the whole hike. And it was exhausting, and I have a really nasty blister on my left foot, but it was totally worth all the pain. The pictures that you just saw really don't do it justice. This area is so incredibly beautiful. Anyhow, this is also a reading vlog, so let's talk about my cozy reading night reading for a bit. As you saw, I read another chapter in The Stranger. I've now finished the first part, and I have to admit I'm a bit bored by it. It's a case of it's one of those classics that are, to me at least, most of all of historical value. I can see how this was all the rage when it was first published and even a decade or two later. However, for me today it all feels very boringly obvious and most of all very boringly on the nose. I'm going to talk more about it and its contents when I wrap it up in a wrap-up or recent reads video. Summers at Castle Auburn, by contrast, is an extremely fluffy and entertaining light read. It's just good old classic high fantasy set in a castle at court and with all the typical shenanigans going on and with a group of young people at the heart of it. So this novel has three parts, and in the first part, which I've just finished, our heroine is 14 years old. In the next part, I've already seen, I think she's 17 years old, and in the third part, I don't know, probably 20, 21. So more or less grown up by the end of it. But so far it feels very much like a YA novel, but a YA novel from before YA turned stupid. So this is from the very beginning of the noughties. I think 2001 is the year that it was published. Yes, 2001. So it's just good old court drama, if you can call it that, but seen through the eyes of a realistic young person. And so I'm enjoying it, but it's not exactly mind-blowing, but just a good light read to be reading on a summer night on the balcony. I could wrap up this weekend vlog here, but I want to extend it into Monday because I'd like to show you what my lunch spot looks like now that it's summer. So now you've seen my lunch spot by this little river in the English garden. I always envy the people who go swimming there. I can't very well go swimming there during the workday because this little river is actually, it's water from the larger river, the river Isar, that runs through the English garden in this little artificial canal with artificial banks as well, which are concrete banks that are just a sheer vertical drop, and the current is very strong in the river, so you can't go in and stay in place. You have to let yourself be carried away by the current, and that means I would have to change at work and leave all my stuff at work, including towels, clothes, etc. And walk through the hallways and back in my swimsuit, and that is just, of course, a no-go. I realized that I haven't really talked about what Summers at Castle Auburn is all about. So this is high fantasy set in this kingdom that is reminiscent of, I guess, well, it's the typical early modern-ish setting of classic high fantasy. And this kingdom borders actually on the Fae kingdom. So this, as it turns out, is a kind of a Fae fantasy as well, or Fae play a part in this fantasy. So the kingdom borders on the Fae realm, and the Fae sometimes are said to snatch human beings away who travel too close to the border or even cross the border river into the fairy realm. And the Fae snatch them away, and they are never to be seen again because the fairy realm is so beautiful and life is so comfortable there that the humans never even think about leaving this place ever again and forget all about their loved ones, or so the stories say. The humans, in turn, also go Fae hunting in the border territory and capture the Fae with metal, which bends them and inhibits their magical abilities and their ability to flee. And then they enslave them to become servants, handmaidens, butlers, etc. in the palace, and perhaps for private people as well, but I don't know about that yet. Our heroine, who spends her summers at Castle Auburn, is a young girl, a 14-year-old girl who is a bastard daughter of the high aristocracy. Her half sister, who is the legitimate daughter of her late father, is actually betrothed to the underage Prince Brian, who I think is actually, he's called Prince Brian all the time, but I think he's actually King Brian. He's just too young to reign on his own. But anyway, our heroine spends her summers at the castle, where she has already met several fairies and made friends with them, although it's not really clear to the reader how far the friendship goes on the side of the fairies. And she has just about begun to catch on to the fact that there is maybe something not okay about this whole arrangement. But there are several other young people at court who seem to be a little bit further on in their reasoning and their thinking. But she is still very young in the whole first part, and the book is divided into 3 parts, each about 100 pages long. In the first part, which I have now finished, she is 14 years old only, and she is just beginning to figure out what her place might be at court and who exactly her peer group are at court. And it's all very classic, traditional high fantasy for young people. It's a very fluffy reading experience in spite of this seed of darkness that seems to lie at the bottom of it. And we have a classic group of very different people, very different characters that is beginning to form, I think, as a friendship group or like a found family. It's all around a very sweet read, I think, and just the right thing at the moment as a palate cleanser and a comfort read to read on the balcony on balmy summer evenings. Tonight, however, I think I'm going to return to Red Dirt Heart number 3. I haven't read anything in that one for a couple of days now. I was too tired yesterday after my hike, and fell asleep pretty early, didn't read anything last night, so now I kind of miss it. It feels like coming home to this kettle station in the heart of Australia. Although I have to say, something that is really getting on my nerves, did so already in the second book, but even more so in the third book, is the fact that these characters, the main characters, the main couple, on the outside, they look like this. However, on the inside, they look very much like that. And it's a little bit ridiculous, and it's beginning to annoy me quite a bit, because I really, really wanted to read about cowboys and not about middle-aged Australian woke desperate housewives. However, I'm glad to be back in this setting, and it has also inspired me to go in search of some more YouTube videos about Australian cattle stations that I haven't yet watched. I haven't looked them up in about 2 years, or maybe even 3 years. So now there are some more that I haven't yet watched, and they are just the perfect thing to watch in summer, and they make me so happy, although they also make me wish that I could be there instead of where I am, giving me Fernweh, as we call it in Germany. Anyhow, that's it for this tiny little weekend reading vlog. I'll see you again very soon, guys, with a more substantial video. Bye!